Hey, I'm Joseph from Alchitry, and in this video we're going to look at how we make the Alchitry I/O. This video is made in partnership with Altium. In this video we're going to run through all the steps involved in turning the blank PCB into the finished board. We actually have some boards that are here where we already did the back side, but the process is the same. We're just going to repeat it for the front side. You almost always put the parts on the back side first because the ones on the back side are usually smaller and lighter. So when they go through the reflow oven a second time, they are much less likely to shift or fall off. The first step is to print the solder paste. So here we have this set up already with these rails that'll hold the board and these little pins that are set up to support the back between the components without actually touching anything. When we're doing the other side and we don't have components on the back side, we can use these big flat bars that'll support the whole board. But here I can slot this in. And depending on the fit, because each of the boards are routed and the tolerance on the actual cutouts aren't perfect. So sometimes we got to adjust these just a little bit for each board. We can bring the stencil down. If you're not familiar, a stencil is just this sheet of stainless steel that is laser cut, and it has little tiny holes in it, if you want to take a look, that line up to where we want all the pads to be soldered. So on the board here, you can see all those gold pads, and on the stencil, those little pads line up. And we just got to make sure that they actually do line up. And this looks like it's pretty good already. If it's not, we have these knobs in the side of this that shift the whole table, and then we can easily align the stencil to the PCB. There are much fancier stencil printers that you can get, ones that have automatic alignment and automatic pasting and do everything. This is a manual one that's still pretty nice, has a good fit and finish to hold the boards. You can also get away with doing this with just some blank PCBs and some like packing tape, but this is definitely easier if you're doing a lot of boards. So we have our solder paste. We're using this Chip Quick No Clean Water Wash paste, which has a nice property of the flux, the residue that comes off it will wash off with water, but being no clean means you don't have to clean it. It's not gonna like corrode your board if you leave it on there. So first thing to do is to mix up the paste, because if it's been sitting for a while, the paste and the flux will actually, or the solder beads and the flux will separate. So you gotta mix it up. Depending on how long it's been sitting, you may need to do that for a few minutes, but this has been already used today, so not too bad. And then just gonna spread some of this on the top of the stencil here. And it's not a big deal on like how much you actually use, because the vast majority of this is gonna go back into the jar. You just need enough to cover your squeegee. Then we have our solder paste squeegee here, which we're gonna use to print. I'm gonna kind of just do like a little dry run here just to get the paste more even. But once it's evened out, I can give this a nice smooth pull. And now we have solder paste on all those gold pads. So once we have all that, put the solder paste, comes into the pick and place machine. In this machine, we have all our parts already loaded up. So we have like the switches here, some buttons, the LEDs and all that loaded on this side. And if I hit play on here, it comes over, takes a look at the fiducials, which are the little gold dots on the board. And then that's how it knows exactly where the board was placed. And then it starts putting parts on the board. Every component that we use is lined up with the camera, so it checks for rotation and offset before placing them all. Once the boards are done with the pick and place, we take them out. So right now, this board has all the components on it, but the solder paste is still not melted. It's just, the raw gray paste. And before we throw them in the oven to actually be soldered, we like to just give them a quick, look over just to make sure that everything was placed correctly and the pick and place wasn't doing anything stupid. This board's looking good. Nothing really stands out to me. So we're gonna take this and it's gonna go into our oven here. So with this oven, we have a conveyor belt that runs all the way across. There are 4 big sections in here that have heating zones on the top and bottom, which you set so that as the board moves through, it warms up, hits some max temperature, and then comes out the other side completely done. So you can just set this guy in here. And it takes about 10 minutes for it to go from one end to the other. And it's only really in the hot zone for, I wanna say it's like 5 or 6 minutes, but it just takes a little while for it to get all the way in there. And then when it's done, it simply drops out the other side onto this tray. So now all these parts that have been placed in here are actually soldered. They're attached to the boards, so you don't have to worry about them falling off or anything like that. This board has some through-hole parts, or I guess a through-hole part in the LED display. So we actually manually solder these by hand, which is what we have set up here. when the board comes out, we got to place these 6 little guys. Sometimes the pins on these are a little bent, which doesn't really matter. It just makes lining them up a little more tricky. There we go. And then to make this flipping over easy, I have this blank PCB that I just use to flip the board without having everything fall out. Let me fire up the soldering iron. We also have this nice air filter that we're using to suck up all the solder fumes so that we don't breathe that stuff. This thing's pretty nice in that it's a large one. You can get little desktop ones that just have a little carbon filter and a fan, but this has a whole HEPA filter and carbon and all that, so it does a good job of sucking all the fumes out and not irritating my eyes. So I'm gonna fire this up. It's gonna be a little loud, so hopefully you can still hear me. So here I'm just gonna solder these pins on the back, and then move the board around to make sure I'm always soldering nice and centered underneath the fume hood, so it's capturing as much of the fumes as it possibly can. Once the board's all soldered, we have the 6 LEDs on here, and now we need to come over and we have these little flush cut snips that we're just going to use to remove the extra wire off these. We cut these pretty close because the stack height on this board is pretty close to the FPGA board underneath it, and on the CU in particular, it has an inductor that gets close to these pins, so we have to make sure they're fairly short. All right, with those pins removed, the boards are basically assembled. We just need to now separate them and clean them up. So we have this little vise here that we use to remove the rails. These boards are V-scored, so there's actually like a thin little slot between each board that makes a weak point, that makes it easy to separate. And first we remove these rails. The rails are just there to give something for the stencil printer, the pick and place, and the oven to hold onto without having to like touch a component. You have, in this case, 5 millimeters of something to grab onto that's empty. So we can remove these. With those removed, we can depanel the board. I split them just into 3, and once you split them, they have a bit of a rough edge just from the fibers pulling. So we like to give them a quick sand just to make them nice and clean. Normally we get this wet so we don't get the fiberglass dust, but we're just gonna do this real quick for the video. All right, so as I mentioned before, we used a no clean water washable flux. So these boards technically don't need to be washed, but they do have some sticky kind of residue junk on them, especially since we did the through-hole soldering. There's more flux residue than if it was just surface mount parts. So we're gonna actually wash these, and we'll take them to the other room and see how that goes. After we have the board separated, we bring them over here, where before washing them, we give them a quick visual inspection just to make sure none of the parts are, obviously wrong. Looking for solder bridging on the little connectors, or any parts that are just rotated, or some defects like tombstone resistors, stuff like that. Once we have done that, then we're gonna give them a wash. And as we mentioned before, you don't have to wash the stuff. And if you don't have to wash your boards, then generally the easiest way is just to use no clean flux and not worry about it. But these boards are gonna be seen by people, handled by people, and we wanna make sure that they're nice and don't have the flux residue on the back. So to do that, we have a ultrasonic cleaner that does the actual washing, and all the residue and stuff that comes off, you don't really wanna just be dumping down the drain because it's pretty nasty stuff. So we have this closed loop setup, and you can buy full commercial, ready to go PCB washers, but they're quite expensive, like tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is our little setup to do it in an economical way without having to buy a house worth of washing equipment. The water from this, there's a little drain on the back of this. When we flip this up like it is now, it will drain out this hose. That comes under here into the cubby, which empties into this big drum. Water from this big drum gets pumped by this little pump over here, back over into our 3-stage water filter. This first stage is a mechanical filter, which is just a dense mesh of, I don't know what it is, cotton or something, some paper. And then once that comes up, it goes into our carbon filter, which filters out the residues from the flux, all the organic stuff. And then that goes into the resin beads, which filters out all the ionic stuff, so any dissolved metals and compounds like that. That then comes through this hose and up to here. So when we need water, we can take this And that pump is wired up to what was the garbage disposal here. So if I close this, we can flip that. And we get clean water pumped into our ultrasonic tank. And every once in a while, we're checking this water to make sure that it's still really clean, because we don't want to be washing the boards with dirty water. And then when we need to change the filters, that becomes hazardous waste, but it's much easier to deal with just the filter than it is tons and tons of water. We can just take these boards that have already been checked, set them in here. And this is an ultrasonic cleaner that's intended for cleaning electronics. And one of the features that you look for in something like that is a sweep feature, where the frequency that it's using for the ultrasound isn't a single frequency, it actually varies, which helps prevent any hot spots that can damage components. So we're just gonna run this in there for 10 minutes, seems to be pretty good for a batch this size. And once that's done, we drain the water, put it in this bucket, which is just clean water that hasn't been used yet, and just to rinse off anything extra. Again, when we're done with this, this gets dumped back into the closed loop system. And then once the boards are nice and clean, we let them air dry. If we're in a rush, we can use our old oven, which we can set to like 80 degrees Celsius and just dry them real quick. But here's a board that's been sitting out for a while. It's nice and clean and nice and dry. And we can take that over to the other room and I'll show you how we test and pack it. So here we have the IO board that we were gonna test, and here is the board that we're gonna use to test it. This is just an Alchitry CU with a program preloaded on it that we use to check these. We have a whole box of things that we do for all the different boards, because each one has a little bit of a different test. For obvious reasons, they're all different. So this, we're just gonna stack on top and then plug it in, and then we'll see it's running its little pattern. So this is highlighting every one of the segments in the LED display to make sure that they're all working. And then we have this little LED running through all these LEDs here. And if I hold the reset button, it inverts so that we can just make sure that all the LEDs are working and none of them are shorted. And then each one of these 5 buttons lights up a different LED. So you can check that all that's working. So this board looks like it's working great. We can take this off. And normally we do these in big batches. We'd have, 100 or so of these and sit down at a desk and test them all. But we're just doing one. And once they're known to be working, we take this static bag and we have this impulse sealer, and we cut a bag for it, put the board nicely in the bag, seal it in, and then our roll is a little bit wider than it needs to, so we trim it down. We also have this little tool that adds a nice punch to the top here so that it's easy for someone to tear open. And finally, we label it with a sticker so that we know what it is. Now this is all ready to go, and that's how we make an IO. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to answer them. Thanks for watching.